What's going on, everybody? Andrew Steele here. Today I'm here with Chris at Luxury Auto Collection.
How's it going, bud?
Right now we're sitting inside of this 2011 Prevost Outlaw conversion, and you've managed this coach for the owner of the coach, so you're probably the only person that's operated this coach for how long now?
About two and a half years.
When the owner of this coach was thinking about buying a coach, what's the reason that you all chose this Prevost Outlaw conversion?
You know, obviously we started looking for him. The big thing was he wanted to be able to have space, storage, so we started looking at H3s over the XL series. And then once we got into that, it's more or less kind of the, being an Outlaw conversion, they've always kind of, if you notice their horse trailers and things like that, they've always used, I consider it kind of more of a masculine color scheme, you know what I mean, that actually now has become kind of a standard. A lot of, tans and browns and things like that that are a little darker than what at the time when we were looking at his budget, what the other coach conversion companies had been doing back in 2010, 2011, that era. A lot of teals, a lot of gold that he didn't really like, and he didn't want to take on a project to gutting the chassis and all that stuff, and understandable. And so when we found this coach, it's one of those things that I'd heard of Outlaw with trailers, and when we found this coach I was a little confused, and finally kind of doing some research and reaching out to their factory, which is now, their conversion, I guess, is now Emerald Coach, and it made a lot more sense. It was just like, well, this company just didn't disappear. Once I got in touch with those guys, they've been extremely helpful with everything that we've ever needed something. You know what I mean? A trim piece, this or that. And it's funny because they know it's one of those things that I feel like all the converters kind of know the buses by the build number 1089 or this.
Yeah. So you can tell them the bus number and they know it.
Oh yeah, so and so bought that new. You're like, yeah, that's we bought it from him, blah blah. And it's funny because we sell exotics and cars, and I wish I had the memory to keep up with.
Yeah, every car, but they really knew this code.
Yeah, and it's really nice because we've had to order like I said, we had on one of the bay doors we had to buy or get some trim, the stainless, and they had it to us in like 2 weeks and popped right on. I was like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
It's not like it was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was super easy and nice to be able to execute that stuff. And I've had questions over the, couple years that we've been, overlooking the coach, and it's amazing me that, there should be this, and you kind of look, oh, I see it, no, and it's just been really nice and very easy to keep up.
Yeah. Now, what caused you to choose a motorhome conversion on the Prevost chassis over there's a lot of, you can get into the game a lot less expensive. How did you have the knowledge to get into a Prevost?
It's funny because me and my brother are out here, and we grew up in Nashville. And so our dad was in the music industry, and we grew up on Eagles, and when Prevost kind of came to Nashville or came to the U.S. and started doing tour buses at first, and then or entertainer coaches they call them, but that, and they just became a little bit more prevalent in the States. I just kind of watched them. They've always been kind of the pinnacle of chassis, and so the customer that we found this coach for, when he told me he was looking for a Class A, I started looking into them, and I've always been into motorhomes and just tinkering with this stuff and with my kids and stuff, and he gave me a budget, and I was like, man, we should really get into a Prevost because the value stays there. It's not like a Class A where it's just a Spartan chassis or Fleetwood chassis, and the safety factor of it too. You've got a full cage in these buses, and it's a commercial grade over the road vehicle. It's not like when you look at a chassis, the shell that comes to an outfitter, it's complete. It's a core. When you see the chassis that goes to a Class A,
it's the real deal. There's literally steel beams going all the way around, and I've seen these, and and nothing like it.
They just go down the road. They're smoother. It's funny because my dad is a diehard Prevost fan. He or Prevost, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and they had Eagles back in the '90s, and it was just so funny because he, you know, nothing. I could take him on, put him in any car, any Class A, and he'd be like, it just rides like a motorhome. It just feels like a school bus going down the road. And it's just funny, and so I've become that's in my mind, that's engraved, and so that's why we kind of sought out the Prevost, because I knew the customer would be happy with it, and we knew he's going to probably use it a few times. He needed it for some business stuff, and we're more than happy to accommodate. And I knew that it would be it's a more stable market. It's not something where you spend $500,000 and in 2 years you're
200.
You're at 200.
Yeah, literally. I see it happen all the time. Yeah.
It's crazy to me. Where these are, it's one of those things that get into just the chassis bare. You're over $500,000 now, which is insane.
And this is a 1,000,000-mile chassis. So if they're selling the chassis new for $500,000 to the converters before they get it, and the chassis is really built to stand a lifetime, this bus will outlast.
Like you said, I've seen before, and people mention it. It's just one of those things that's before a major overhaul.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Like, that's the Detroit getting sleeved and everything else, and and that after that it's a new chassis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is, it's a crazy thing, and a lot of people. It's funny when you start talking to people and if you're not in the kind of bus world and used to dealing with them. People are like, it's just crazy. You're like, the thing is, though, you could remodel like a house.
Yes.
The chassis is good. You could take it back to your upfitter and have them gut it and redo it in 5 years, and you still know all the maintenance on your chassis. You still know,
Yeah, the bones of it. Yeah. Now, I want to kind of go back a couple steps. You mentioned that your dad really is a fan of Prevost. Prevost conversions, and we talked a little bit, you coming from Nashville and the whole music business. Your dad has been on the road a little bit. He's got a little bit of a resume at why he is a fan of Prevost. Can you share with everybody what your dad did?
And he was in a couple of bands over the years, but he was touring with a band called Petra for...
So if any of you know, I got to cut you off a second. So Petra is a really huge Christian rock band. So anybody that knows Christian music knows Petra is kind of one of the hard rock, kind of one of the pioneers in the Christian rock industry. So, and they've been playing for what, 30, 40 years? Or?
Yeah, he's been with them since I was 5 years old. Yeah, so about 35 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, they had an Eagle to start out with, and then everybody kind of started cutting, because those were 40-foot buses, and then everybody started cutting those and raising the roofs. So they, you got to a 45, more base space, and they were higher. And then they were on springs, so they just kind of down the road, which was great at the time, because your other option was a van.
Yeah.
And so when these came out and they were all airbagged, that was the big, it was a big thing. And it was the difference of, they rock like this, forward to back. And so when you're in a bus, when you're in a bunk, it's like being rocked,
Yeah.
So
how many miles do you think your dad has under his belt in Prevost?
Oh, God. Probably. He'd be on the road for a month, and they would just, it's different when you're, he's not driving. He's not relaxing, and he's not driving, but he's not, it's not like
he's working,
they're not sitting out at a resort, they're on the road, so it's, the buses turning wheels constantly. Over the road, those drivers that are putting those type of miles on, it's a whole different level of stuff. It's like, that's why I like Kyle, because you can keep 12 buses on the road commercially on tours.
Yeah.
My hat's off to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kyle at Border Coach Leasing, huge hats off to him. He manages Prevost buses and really, like you said, keeps the wheels turning. Anything else that you want to say about Outlaw Coach, which is now Emerald Coach, and the folks in Stephenville, Texas there?
Man, they've just been, like I said, they've just been top rate as far as customer service and being very responsive, because when the thing is with anything where you have an issue, it's not an emergency down in Texas.
Yeah,
When you're on the side of the road, you got a question about something, you're like, I
Yeah.
You got stuff going on. They've just been very helpful.
Yeah.
And
even on a bus that's out of warranty, they still answer your questions.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the last thing it's funny because I feel like you always feel like your questions are so dumb, and they don't act like, it's not like that's what dumb.
No, but they're there to help for you.
Some of the stuff's so simple that you're just like, of course it's that. That makes sense.
And so I've got to ask you, you've been in charge of maintaining this bus. You just went and kind of picked through every square inch of this bus with a mechanic, with the camera looking over the mechanic's shoulders. What all are the expenses? What are the major expenses that have gone into this coach over your last couple of years of ownership?
Really this coach has always been kind of a garage queen. You know what I mean? Obviously it's been inside here in our facility when it's not being used. We've used it. We've put about 20,000 miles on it, and that was kind of part of the deal of us maintaining it for the customer, the owner, was us being able to take it to some shows in California and just kind of, it needs to be stretched, you know what I mean? Because if we used it just for his purposes, it would have flat spots on the tires. But it's one of those things that when we bought it, the previous owner had done, batteries, the house batteries on this coach, not right before we bought it, and tires were kind of at the same point, you know what I mean? And so now we're going, that Kyle had mentioned, this needs to get done. This is all kind of stuff that's in a cycle, and it's very much like an exotic car. You know what I mean? Where it's, it's like every
tires and batteries are the big expense.
And it's one of those things that it's a matter of, you can use it or not use it. They're gonna.
You're gonna have to pay for that stuff no matter what.
And so this coach is a little unique because it has such a big inverter system that you can really run, kind of boondock as much as you. That's even a term.
It is, absolutely.
It just makes me laugh at somebody pulling this thing into the woods and
dry camping or boondocking.
But that's the thing I like about it is because you've got that option, and then you've got those big auxiliary water tanks, which is great.
Do you know how many how many gallons you have on your?
I would think with those ox tanks, you've probably got roughly 300 gallons of fresh water.
Wow.
But about 2 years ago, right after we picked this coach up, I took my kids, because we took it out and had it wrapped for an event for the owner. I was able to justify a spring break trip with my 3 kids. So we did a little bit of just kind of hanging out in California, up and down the coast, and it was extremely nice to have the extra water, because it's like, when you start running out of that much water, you're using a lot of water. But it's nice when you've got kids and you're coming in and out, you're just in the coach for a week or so. You don't have to be hooked up. You know what I mean?
No, that says a lot.
It was really a great feature. It was cool, which I think they've outlawed now in California as far as parking on Malibu Beach. But I thought it was funny because I'm like, we're surely going to get arrested for this. But I posted on Instagram and tagged Malibu Beach, and they're like, "Hope you enjoyed your stay." I guess it wasn't illegal.
Hey, that works, man. That works.
But it was a good time. We had a blast.
Nice.
But again, it's just these buses are just. I mean, it's the cream of the creme. You know what I mean? It's just there's nothing that you can really. I find it relaxing driving. Some people probably, everybody looks at you like you're crazy when you say that. They're like, this is just so big. Well, it's all relative, you know what I mean? Once you get used to it, it's just like the left side of your car, the right side of your car, and man, it's very peaceful, quiet, comfortable, and you've got your house behind you.
Hey, man, that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, Chris, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share all that information with the folks on YouTube. So, hey, greatly appreciate all of you watching today's video. I hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.